Hey guys, Tammy here, and in this video I'm going to give you my 3 top ways to boost your confidence in court. Public speaking is ahead of death for vast majority of people as far as their fears. Okay, more people have fear of public speaking than have fear of death, which is really crazy if you think about it. And then you add in the emotions of this being about your children, probably the thing that you care about most in the world, right? You've just got a recipe for really high anxiety, high stress. And so it's no wonder that we go in and we're struggling to be confident in something that is probably already unnerving for us, even before you add in the family factors to it. So I'm going to tell you how you can be more confident. But before I do, let me just remind you, if you like this content, don't forget to hit like on the video. Also subscribe so you get notified as new videos are released. And as always, please feel free to share this on social media. So many people hunting for this information, trying to find their way through the mud and the muck of the family court system, which we all know is very, very difficult to do. When you have to present in court, okay, most of the time I see this more commonly, these issues with people who are self-represented, obviously, because if you have an attorney there standing beside you, it's obviously you're not having to speak yourself. And so that does help to a degree. But I do think it's important that you still have a certain amount of confidence and ability to present, because sometimes the court asks you questions. There are times when people have to testify. Just you knowing what's going on and kind of understanding the lay of the land can be an advantage, because it enables you to help your attorney a lot of times in certain situations. So this does apply. All these things that I'm going to tell you, these 3 little tricks, all apply even if you are represented, but they become even more critical if you are trying to self-represent. So the number one thing that I tell people to do, and it's really funny because this seems a little bit obvious, but most people don't think of it, and that is go watch your judge. Go watch court. Even if you can't watch your specific judge, or it's getting ready to change, or whatever's happening, at least go watch court. And there's a couple reasons for this. Now, I will tell you that hearings are public hearings. Anybody should be able to go to them. There are times that they will do a closed hearing where there's some reason that, or some evidence they're going to present, or something that they don't want out there for public consumption or whatever. And so there are times that the hearings are closed, but the vast majority of the time it's a public hearing and they don't have the right to keep you from being there. Now, here in California, if we're in one of the courtrooms, a bailiff might come over if they don't know you and say, hey, can you tell me what case you're here on? And you just say, oh, I'm not. I have a case in a few weeks and I'm just here to observe to help me understand the process or whatever. And they'll be like, okay. And that generally won't be a problem. And so you can usually go online and look up the schedule. You can call down to the business office at the court and find out the schedule and what days are good days to come and all of that. But this is one of the best ways, because it gives you the ability to observe your judge and the way that they react to things and the way they react to people and situations. And it gives you the ability to do it when your emotions aren't high because your case is not being heard. I know a lot of times we sit and watch cases being called while we're waiting for our own case to be called. You do get some observation there, but I find that observation is not terribly productive, because we're in such a heightened emotional state because we're anticipating our own case that we really can't absorb a lot of the information that's going on. We can't really objectively observe the different interactions with the judge and the attorneys and the parties and all the different things. So it is really good to go do this just on an off day when you have nothing about your case going on and you're just going to sheerly observe. And you'll gain a lot of wisdom from just sitting and watching the judge interact with the various parties in the case. And you'll kind of get to know, like, what irritates the judge, what do they like, what gets them nodding their head yes. If the judge is nodding their head yes, you want to pay attention to what's being said in the courtroom. And the other thing that this will do, and I think people kind of overlook this aspect of it as well, is it'll just make you more familiar with the environment. When you walk into a courtroom and it's the first time you're in there, or maybe the first time you've been in one in a long time or whatever, I think most of us are not regularly in courtrooms. I think when I went through my divorce, I don't think I had ever set foot in a courtroom before that. And it can really be helpful because just being in there and sort of the presence of it, right? It's set up to intimidate. I mean, that's really, the judge is raised, everything's set up to kind of command like respect and all those kinds of things. And when you walk in and it's your very first time and you're like, oh, this is a little intimidating, right? But if you're in there multiple times, it starts to become less so. And it becomes second nature. Now I can go in and walk into any courtroom and it really doesn't do anything, right? Of course, it's not my own case at this point either, but I don't really have any of that nervousness because I know exactly what's happening. I understand how the cases are being called. I understand, the order that things proceed in. I know the process and I have a general idea of what's going on in the courtroom. And so the more that you can expose yourself to that, the less anxiety that you're going to have going in. And so again, even if you have an attorney, this is a great thing to do because it will help you be more level-headed. It will help you be more productive with the information that your attorney may need from you on that day or that the judge may ask you for or whatever. You'll just be a lot more clear-headed and be able to think and respond without having all this anxiety and adrenaline coursing through your veins because you're in this new environment that is stress-inducing, frankly. Exposure will help to reduce that. So it's a great way to solve that problem. The second thing I would say is write it down, okay? Write it down. When you're going to go into court and you're going to present, you can literally read off of a paper. Like, you don't have to be shooting from the hip. I mean, if you're the type of person that you've done a lot of public speaking and you've been in the court enough and you're confident and you can do that, maybe you just write a few bullet points for you to follow or whatever. That's fine. But if you're somebody who doesn't do public speaking or English is your second language or things of that nature, then write down what you want to say. Because when you're standing up there, you can say to the court, Your Honor, I get a little nervous with public speaking. Is it okay if I read this? And they'll be like, sure. I've not seen a judge yet that says, no, you can't read anything. I've never seen a judge say that, okay, in 15 years. If you've had it happen, you comment below and you let me know that they told you can't read. But I have never seen a judge say that. So you can prepare your remarks ahead of time, and most attorneys do, right? If you had an attorney that was representing you, they would be preparing the remarks ahead of time. So if you have things that you want to say in court or whatever, write it down ahead of time so that you're clear and you have the ability to be concise. Because when you get up there and you get nervous, you will tend to go on and on and on, right? And you want to be, the court has very limited time and you want to be respectful of that and you want to be as concise as you possibly can. The third tip I'm going to give you is, this one is a little bit more psychological than practical, okay? Going to watch the judge and writing it down, those are both very practical, kind of hands-on tips. But this third one is really kind of about the psychology of it. And if you're self-representing, and honestly, even if you're not, but especially if you're self-representing, you want to be the attorney, not the client, right? When we're in the courtroom and we are the parent, we're mom, we're dad, these are our children, we're emotional. This can feel almost life or death for us because it's like, oh my gosh, if I lose my kids, oh my gosh, if I lose parenting time, oh my gosh, if the other person gets this, that, or the other thing with them, right? And it can feel very detrimental when those things happen. But you have to disconnect yourself from the situation more. And this is particularly critical, again, if you are self-representing, because you need to have the ability to go in and present from a logical, analytical perspective, from the perspective of the way the court thinks about the case. And I talk about judge's perspective a lot. If you haven't listened to any of that, go back through some of the old videos. But you want to be presenting your information in the context within which the judge views it. And that's part of what an attorney does for you, right? Is they come at it logically, analytically. They're not coming at it emotionally as mom or dad. So when you're standing up there in front of the judge, if you are self-representing, you need to get out of your own head and not be mom or dad, and be mom or dad's attorney in that moment, right? Try to put your attorney hat on and think of it almost like like you would if you were acting in the role or something like that, right? Where you're really wearing that hat and you're representing either, mom or dad, whichever one you are, kind of in your mind, with your mindset. That's where you want to get. And again, I think this can be helpful even if you have an attorney, because if you can get emotionally distant from it for a little bit and try to look at it logically, it will help you to understand the process more. It'll help you absorb what's going on in the courtroom. It'll help you give your attorney information, that maybe might come up instantaneously that they need or whatever. And it'll just kind of help you be more aware objectively of what's going on around you instead of being so deep in your head and your emotions, in your fear. Okay, so you have to kind of disconnect a little bit, sort of psychologically flip that hat around and put your attorney hat on and not your parent hat on, so that you can not be emotional in the process of presenting the information to court. So if you'd like to learn more tips on how to be confident in court, how to present clearly and concisely, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There's information on my coaching programs on that page. There's also a link where you can book a call if you're interested in discussing my premium one-on-one coaching services. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.